If there's anything any better than being a dad, it's being a granddad. Being a father to our children is something that challenges us almost beyond imagination sometimes. But it's also something that brings tremendous joy and pride into our life. It's probably not the case with anyone else, unless it is our wife or husband, that we have that kind of relationship, that we can have more joy over something good they do and praise they get than we do about ourselves. I never will forget when I was a young boy and I was living at home. My dad was a preacher and a teacher, and he someone one day made a compliment about me and said something about, well, he's going to be better at it than you are, to my dad. And his response to it was, boy, I surely hope so. And I've thought about that a lot of times. Most of the time, we would be frustrated to learn that someone was actually going to be better than we were at something that we thought we were pretty good at. And yet, when it's a dad, there's something different. He has a heart for his child that longs for the good things and even the best things in his child's life. What makes a good daddy? I know that God complimented us beyond all imagination when he used that word Father to describe himself and said we ought to pray, Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. So a dad has a tremendous privilege. He stands as one that will give his child the first image of what God is like. When you think about it, if a child's understanding of what a father is comes from looking at their dad and seeing how they live every day and how they act. And every one of us as dads give a poor picture of God. None of us are going to get that right. But I do need to realize what an awesome place that is, that I am, by the way I live and act and think and respond to things and how I deal with the pressures of life. I'm giving my child a grasp of what it's like to have God as our Father. How can we be better fathers? Well, one thing that stands out is that there is no gift I can give my child that is better than my time. If I can take the time to be with them, and I can, in both instruction and example, show them the things that really matter in life, it's amazing what can happen in a child's life. There's no one else that we could have that relationship of molding them like a potter does a piece of clay better than with our children. And so the more time I spend with my child, both in showing them how to live, how to make a living, how to treat other people in the world, the better I will do in that job of being a parent. Also, the more I can imitate my own Father, both the physical one and the one that is in heaven, the better I'm going to do. Our fathers usually were men who struggled in a lot of ways, and they lived, if you're at my age at least, they lived in a time when things were very different than they are right now. But there was no question that Dad was one that loved his kids and that wanted what was best in their life. You can see in your dad both things that you really need to imitate and get right as they were doing, and things you need to do differently. Ways that they failed and that you can do better as a dad than they did. You can demonstrate a greater love and a greater understanding. Let me suggest to you as a dad, Some things that will make a huge difference is if I will give them my undivided attention. If I can listen to my child intently, no matter what age they may be, they need a dad that will listen. And then they need a dad that will show them what forgiveness is all about. And I don't know of a better way of demonstrating that than when I mess up myself and do wrong, to be ready honestly and humbly to ask them for their forgiveness. If I can demonstrate that, it will help them to know how to deal with failures and sins and problems in their own life. Being a dad is something that never stops. No matter what age your children are, you're still very concerned about how you can love them and help them, and how you can be that one that demonstrates to them how to live every day. I thank God for the privilege of being a dad and of being a granddad. And I thank God for my sons-in-laws, that they are men that are trying to be that right kind of dad. I want to suggest to you, be that loving father all through life. And then you can look back with joy on what your children are accomplishing because of the way you brought them up to serve God. Listen, nothing you do is more important than teaching your children to live their lives for God rather than for themselves, to put the kingdom first, and to grow in commitment to God. Your child needs to see their dad growing for God and groaning to be like God in every way they can, all the time.